Thank you, Acting Speaker, and I rise to make my contribution to the Private Security and County Court Amendment Bill of 2024. And as I begin, may I say, Acting Speaker, I thought your contribution earlier in this place was dignified and succinct, and I thank you for that. When I look at a bill that we are going to debate, I always like to read the information and the second readings like we all do in this place. And what I try to really understand is bring it down to a very simple idea of what really is this Act about. And it has been spoken about in this place that this Act is really about keeping us safe. Not just us in this room, but also our friends, our families, our communities, people out in the public, our loved ones. And I think that's really, really important. But not only is it keeping all of us and our families safe, this bill is also about keeping those people that keep us safe. And that's a really important thing about this bill. If we don't keep those people who are protecting us safe, then we can be in a lot of trouble ourselves. So I think that is a great thing, and I'm very glad that those on the opposite side of the chamber are supporting this bill for that reason. I think back, way back in the 80s when I went to Sydney taking on my very first job, and I moved into a flat with a friend who lived in Elizabeth Bay, which was a hop, skip and a jump from King's Cross. And after work, performing at the Opera House, I would jump on the motorbike and go up to King's Cross to have some dinner. And I've got to say, it was a pretty colourful place in the 80s, the Cross, and quite exciting at times, very dangerous. If you went off the beaten track, it certainly wasn't safe. But I've got to say, when you walk down the main street, you did take your life into your own hands to some extent, because I guess the security guards or the bouncers were very excitable. They were very tough. They were very dangerous. And if you looked at them in the wrong way, you could get into a lot of trouble. But they did look after you. I often felt, even though I had to be cautious, I often felt safe with them. I was really amazed at the amount of people that would go into the Cross, have a few beers and take the bouncers on. It was great viewing, often very bloody, but I never understood why they did that, because it's pretty much they always lost. Obviously, this bill replaces the Private Security Bill of 2004. And I'm very glad the Private Security Bill of 2004 came in, because I guess that cleaned up the issues up at the King's Cross to some extent. This bill aims to pass through the recommendations made in the report on the review of the private security industry, which was endorsed by Cabinet and published in late 2021. The report came about from an election commitment before my time in this place, which was to review the industry and see what could be done to improve workers' access to fair pay and work conditions, and improve the professionalism within the security industry, and therefore get a better public relationship and reputation. It will accomplish all that by a number of different measures, a lot of which have been spoken of in this place already. I'll highlight a couple. First off, cutting some red tape, which is always a fantastic thing, Acting Speaker. We love cutting red tape, and we'll do that by replacing the current two-tier system, which is required certain security companies to obtain registration and others a licence. But with this bill, it's now on a single-tier licensing system. It will also require workers in high-risk roles to undergo refresher training prior to licence renewal. And surprisingly, this was not a previous requirement. You could get your licence and work in the industry for years and not have to go through any sort of refresher training. Now, obviously, for an important job like this, surely you would need to stay up to date with your training. People who serve alcohol and have an RSA, they have to undergo training and refresher courses. Construction workers, supermarket workers, accountants, and the list goes on and on, all have to undergo some form of refresher training. Why, you might ask? Because laws change, societies change and skills change, such as first aid, safe physical restraint practices, verbal de-escalation tactics, etc., are all continually updated and critical for workers in high-risk roles, and we need people to be prepared for that. Also, this bill will seek to deter dodgy sham contracting by making sure that a person wanting to operate under an ABN as an individual security supplier will also have to obtain a business private security licence. Now, this means that it's much more difficult for employers to ask individual workers to get an ABN. They do this so that they can avoid paying employment-related costs. So this just makes it fairer for workers, and I'm all about that. In essence, this bill is about community safety, as I said. We want the community to feel safe and that they're protected. And when they're out at a nightclub, pub or event, they feel safe knowing that the security hired will do the job, be professional, and also know that they're being paid properly for their time. That's why we've brought this bill to this place, because our private security workforce are incredibly important to us. We couldn't have the sheer amount of concerts, sporting events, festivals without them, and we know in Victoria that we always have the best and biggest events, like the upcoming Melbourne F1 Grand Prix, which is a fantastic event. And if I might just say, Acting Speaker, I did win the 2000 celebrity race at the Grand Prix. So I am an F1 Grand Prix winner, and later on I came third in the Champion of Champions races. I did have bodyguards to take me to the to get my trophy. The economy thrives. That's mainly because I beat Richard Watkins, and he was very upset about it. Wilkinson, sorry. Sorry, Richard. Anyway, the economy thrives on these events, and we all want to ensure that private security workers are compensated fairly for working long days and have appropriate training as well to deal with the millions of patrons that come through each year. We want them to get home after work or in the morning safe. This bill will ensure to uphold the integrity and raise professional standards for our private security industry, but it shouldn't diminish the character of companies or individuals that are always doing the right thing, act professionally at all times, and don't do dodgy things. Dodgy things like bringing in unqualified, untrained people to do security work, security-related work that they should not be doing. And unfortunately, hotel quarantine is a pretty good prime example of that. Now, it's good to know that Victoria Police and the Police Association have been consulted and are in support of these changes. The recommendations from the report didn't entirely require legislative changes, as some could be achieved without it. For example, Victoria Police now sends a fact sheet out with every licence about worker rights and obligations, including where to find out what they should be being paid and what their entitlements to leave, superannuation and other matters are. The fact sheet includes a list of organisations that can help workers ensure they are paid fairly, including the relevant union, the mighty United Workers Union, the Labour Hire Authority and the Workplace Ombudsman. As others have said, certainly one of the most important changes this will bring is to eliminate sham contracting from occurring. Dodgy employers have essentially identified a loophole that allows them to avoid responsibilities to their workers. Now, these responsibilities that they don't want their workers to have are rights most employees should have, such as getting paid a fair wage according to the award, providing superannuation so that they can retire with dignity, providing work cover insurance, and also providing leave. These are hard workers and everyday Victorians that miss out. It's wrong, and we're not going to stand by and allow it to happen anymore. A fair day's work for a fair day's pay, and this bill will provide this. I might just quickly talk about the other changes in this bill, which is enabling the pilot drug court division within the Country Court of Victoria to continue operating for 2 more years. This is a fantastic thing. I know there was some pushback from the other side about why we need to and why we have different postcodes, etc. And as members on this side of the chamber tried to explain, it's a trial. And the best way to get a proper understanding of a situation or a trial is to spread it wide and try to get a really good reference of the community. This model addresses the underlying causes of offending by providing intense drug treatment services to offenders and also enhances the community connectedness of participants, which will aim to reduce reoffending, as it gives them the skills to improve their personal relationships, offer housing stability, and educating them on life skills so they can thrive. What we want is to rehabilitate and not people so that they don't reoffend. Now, whilst this program isn't for everyone, and nor should it be. But for those that have a chance to rehabilitate, we should absolutely be supporting that. And that's why I support the extension of the trial for 2 years. I commend this bill to the House.